So welcome to episode 6 of Project George. We're not in the garage for once, and I think the first thing to do is apologise for the 3 or so months gap since the previous video. Parts have taken a little bit longer to get hold of than expected. A few other things going on, a few other projects happening, so it is what it is. Winter was there, and sometimes you don't really feel like going into the garage and getting the place warm and kind of cracking on. But progress has been made. And I'll just take you through the engine, which is clearly on my dining table, which is, very good use of a table. So I'll take you through what's been done up to now. The engine is ready to put into the car, and then we'll go and take a quick look at the body shell, which is a little bit further forward, and I'll just give you an overall update of what's been going on. So the idea is to take the block back to the garage, mate it to the gearbox, and then pop it back in the car the way it came out, which is underneath up, and mount it in. I'll then fit the new cylinder head and all the ancillaries that are attached to it, and hopefully it works. Just go over some of the things that have been done. So everything's been off. There are new bearing seals, main bearings, big end bearings. The camshaft has been checked. The crankshaft has been checked. It's a full teardown and rebuild. We've got the original cam and the original crank, but everything else has been replaced. Everything else has been checked. The distributor's been rebuilt. The fuel pump's been rebuilt. The carburettor's been fully rebuilt. We've got a 0.25 overbore, which is 10 thou in old money. Had some issues getting hold of the piston rings. Could get every other size other than 10 thou piston rings for some strange reason. New cam belt, new tensioner. Usual kind of things when you do an overhaul of an engine. I'm just looking at it now. I can see the new rear main seal. It's got a new front seal as well. So yeah, everything has been replaced. Everything that should be replaced has been replaced. It remains to be seen whether this works. The timing marks are all set up now. So the distributor's pointing to cylinder 1, and the timing marks, if you're familiar with these engines, there's a timing mark across the centre of the cam that lines up with the case, and if we just walk round to the timing belt side, there is actually a mark on the timing cover just here. If you can just see my finger there, and that marks it with a little notch that's on the crank pulley. New water pump, and you'll see on the back of here all the vacuum hoses and all the fuel hoses are new. New charcoal canister. Basically, everything's been replaced. The little check valves, the one-way valves that are on the vacuum system, were all basically, when I disassembled everything, they just fell apart. So they've all been replaced. One thing that did surprise me, quite difficult to get hold of these oil filters now. I had about 5 or 6 sent to me that were all close but not right. The rubber seal was further inside the filter, so it basically had nothing to seat against. So found that these UFI filters, available pretty much across Europe, work a treat. They're absolutely perfect. So that's really good that they're still available. So I bought a few of those. What I'm going to do is, this engine's not usually left uncovered, and here's the replacement cylinder head gasket, so that can go on the top of there. So yeah, the cylinder head was skimmed, rebuilt, relapped the valves. The valve springs were still within tolerance, just. So it's just a case of going through everything, checking against the. If we just point to the service manual, just checking everything against the service manual and making sure everything's still within spec, which it is. So it just remains for this to be reunited with the rest of the car. So a very good opportunity to go up and have a look at that. So I'll see you in the garage. So this is where we're up to. I think you can see on. Let's see whether this will focus. There's quite a few areas that have been sanded back and filled. Please ignore the kind of, if I just point here, some of these black areas. That's just the rust treatment. I'm using a product called Furtan, which I've used in the past. It's been very successful. I have used some products that have been supposedly very good at tackling rust, and just haven't worked. The rust has come back through very quickly. But Furtan, up to now. Very pleased with it, so I'm going to continue using that. Typical places at the end of the roof strips. There's some very light corrosion. I've seen way worse, and basically I've just stripped it right back. It didn't need any welding, thankfully, so it was just a case of a very small skim of filler. I've obviously got to sand all this, and if we just look here, you'll see my my sanding discs and various products and materials to do that. I think somewhere under the car you'll probably find the rotary, the DA for doing that work. Quick peek inside the car, very dusty. There's red dust from the amount of bodywork that's been done. You can see again those black areas are just where the rust treatment's been done. Everything's been sanded back. I've just found out today that the fiberglass front wings, fenders, wings, they're wings over here in the UK. The front wings, the fiberglass wings I ordered are not coming. Basically, the moulds, I couldn't get the full story whether they were lost or damaged, but basically I'm not getting those. So I really do need to find a reasonable set of front wings for this car, because the ones that I've got are going to take me an absolute lifetime to try and get them presentable. I will use them if I have to, but I'd rather not. Again, front bonnet, it looked black. This was sanded back to bare metal because of the issues with spidering rust on here. Nothing too severe, came off no problems, but I wanted to strip it right back, and the black that's on there again is the first-time rust treatment, and that's good for 3 months. I can leave that car, leave this panel now for 3 months. It's absolutely fine. I do have, in fact, I can just swing around and show you, a very good dehumidifier in here, which keeps this garage very dry, even though we're in the, we're just coming to the end of winter. Otherwise, it would obviously get very damp. But this, thankfully, is very dry in here, and the whole building is insulated with 50mm insulation. Take a quick peek up, and that includes the roof and the doors. So, when I built this workshop, it was done properly. It looks a mess at the moment, but there was a lot of consideration went into putting this together, so it would allow me to work on cars more slowly and allow them to stand for a while. So there's some method behind the madness. So just pop down here. I had to do some fiberglass repairs on the front corners. So there's a really rough skim of filler on there. That's going to need sanding back and refilling probably 3 or 4 times to get that right. But that was really the only areas. There was actually a couple of areas around the back of the car. There's a small dent on this wing that I filled. You're probably not going to see in there. In fact, there's no chance you'll see in there. Well, basically, the underside of the car is immaculate. What has happened is, let's go back round to the back, is obviously, I think what's happened is the gaskets around these lights are not great. The water has got in, has run down, and then to find its way out, it's basically gathered at the bottom and then rusted through. I've repaired all that now. Can't get floodlights out and light the area, but I've repaired that now. But what I will do is I'll probably leave a little drain hole in there just so the water can escape, because I don't think I'm really going to stop the water coming. Even if I've replaced the gaskets, I think water's going to get down there. So some things stored inside the car here, now full of red dust, but that'll come off, that's not a problem. And there's the fuel tank that's been fully restored. One other job I've done is the side markers, indicators on the front bumpers, on these older front bumpers. They completely disappeared. So all this has been replaced underneath with fiberglass, and I basically need to tidy all this up and give it a skim of filler before re-drilling the holes. So that's one other area done. Again, you can see inside the front panel of the car, that there's a little bit of filler in there that's just on top of the fiberglass, basically. So just to smooth that out. So a lot more sanding to do, basically. I say a lot more sanding to do. So I'll just keep chipping away at the car now. Hopefully it won't be another 3 months before the next update. But you never know. I'm hoping that that I don't want to set any targets with this, because I've done that with projects before, and it can be a real. It can work really negatively if you start to decide that you have to do work on the car. There's no rush for me to do this car. I've got other things to. I don't really use a car on a daily basis. I have to commute on the train, so and I have other cars, so it's not an issue. So I want to enjoy doing this car, and I'm enjoying it at the moment, but that means that I get to pick and choose when I do the work, and that seems to be working well. So hopefully there'll be some more updates. I might even be popping that bonnet soon, and you might be seeing an engine in there. I think I'm over the worst of it in terms of the unpleasant jobs and kind of getting the work done. So yeah, hopefully you'll get an update soon. If you've got any questions, fire them down in the comments, and I will see you very shortly.